Hi, welcome back to the second episode of High Vibes Podcast. I'm your host, Markesha. Welcome back. It's good to see y'all. It's been a while since I posted my last episode, which was the first episode of season two. Um, which was internal battles, but this is our second episode and it's the evolution of parenthood. Now y'all know I usually define the word or the subject and then I give my definition. This time it's kind of going to be a little different um because let me put it like this. When I define parenthood and then I define evolution, it's basically like the same definition because I just broke two words down and then, you know, developed the same meaning of parenthood by itself, which was everything related to being a parent. And then on top of that, evolution, which had everything to do with evolving. And so in this episode, what I'm going to go over is the four parenting styles. And then I'm going to elaborate more on what my parenting style was. And then I'm going to go into furthermore on my journey as being a parent and how I evolved from one mindset to another. And just kind of go through the details and the things that helped me on my journey as a parent. So I'm gonna read some information from the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health. Um, so it's four types of parenting styles. One is is it authoritarian parenting, authoritative parenting, permissive parenting, and neglect parenting, which is uninvolved parenting. So I'm going to start with authoritarian parenting. So it says authoritarian parenting typically engage in one way of mode of communication where they establish strict rules that the child is expected to follow without question or negotiation. These rules are rarely explained, and the children are expected to meet high standards without making mistakes. Authoritative parenting is characterized by a close, nurturing relationship with parents and children. Parents set clear expectations and guidelines and explain the reasoning behind their disciplinary actions. They use disciplinary methods as a supportive tool rather than as a punishment. Children are encouraged to have input in setting goals and expectations, thereby fostering open, frequent, and appropriate communication between parent and child. This parenting style generally results in the healthiest outcome for children but requires considerable patience and efforts from both parties. Authoritative parenting fosters confidence, responsibilities, and self regulation in children. These children manage negative emotions more effectively, leading to improved social outcomes and emotional well being. By encouraging independence, authoritative parents, if I'm saying it right, authoritative parents help their children understand that they can achieve goals on their own, resulting in high esteem. Additionally, these children tend to excel academically and perform well in school. Um, I could kind of resonate with this authoritative parenting because those are kind of like the characteristics. I would say the majority when I research like parenting and what type of parenting I evolved from, the styles that I've used, and then I kind of came into certain things, just learning about like, do I feel like I need to do this with my child? Do I need to do that? So I am like more of a nurturing and lenient parent, not too much hard on my son. So let's look at some of the other characteristic traits for authoritative. It says enforce rules, provide warmth and support. Also, solves problems together with children, sets clear rules and expectation, open communication, and natural consequences. Yeah, that kind of sound like the way I parent, because I tell my son, look, if you don't listen to me, life gonna teach you better than I can teach you. But yeah. So um, on to the next parenting style, which I would say is permissive. Yes, permissive. Okay, so permissive parenting uh, is typically warm and nurturing, often holding minimal expectations for their children. They impose few rules and maintain open communication, allowing their children to navigate situations independently. This lack of expectation usually leads to infrequent disciplinary actions, as permissive parents often take on more friend like roles than that of traditional authority figures. Limited rules can lead children to develop unhealthy eating habits, particularly regular snacks, increasing the risk of obesity and other health issues later in their life. These children these children enjoy considerable freedom, making their decisions about their bedtime, their homework, their screen time on computers and televisions. Such extensive freedom can foster negative habits, as parents often provide little guidance on moderation. Overall, while children of permissive parents typically possess good self esteem and decent social skills, they may also be impulsive, demanding, selfish, and struggle with self regulation. So, that is for the permissive parenting. Also, some traits is lenient, few, demands, friends. So, I guess you can say I got a little bit of that. Permissive, just a little bit in there, and friend. This one says child driven, rarely gives or enforce rules, overindulges child to avoid conflict. I don't think that's me right there, but I kind of got a mixture of a lot of these um, things. And as you evolve, you kind of learn. Sorry, y'all, look about my shirt. My shirt. This shirt is a little difficult to handle, but yeah. But anyway, as you grow and evolve, and you learn that a lot of these definitions of these parents, the parenting style, which it typically shows up in your day-to-day life. Like, it can show up in anywhere. Like, just let me read the last one, and I'll explain more further in what I'm trying to say to y'all. So we're gonna go to the neglectful, which or the uninvolved parent. It says uninvolved parenting grants children a high degree of freedom, as these parents typically take hands-off approach. While they may fulfill their child's basic needs, they remain emotionally detached and disengaged from their child's life. Uninvolved parents do not adhere to a specific disciplinary style and maintain limited communication with their children, providing minimal nurturing and having few, if any, expectations. Children of uninvolved parents often demonstrate resilience and may be more self sufficient than those raised in other parenting styles. However, these skills are typically developed out of necessity. Additionally, they may struggle with emotional regulation, exhibit less effective coping strategies, face academic challenges, and have difficulty maintaining or nurturing social relationships. Okay, so some characteristics and traits of the uninvolved or a neglectful parent. Basically, they say neglect, provide little guidance and support, uninvolved, absent, provides little nurturance or guidance, which is the same thing, indifferent to the child's social, emotional, and behavioral needs, which is one is on the scale of responsiveness and demandingness. Um, but anyway, with those four parenting styles, I would say a lot of the times when I've looked at my journey of evolving in parentinghood, I always thought when my son was younger that you have to do what I say, you do this, do that, follow along and just give them direction and they go the way they want to go. But learning my son as I go along, that as I learn myself, he helped me better understand that, mommy, this is not something that is particularly for me. That is what you grew up learning about, how to discipline kids, how to have structure for kids. And so I had to rewire myself in parenting and understanding how my son functioned, how I function, how I learned how to deal with kids at a very young age, because I was a young mom. I had my son at 19, and I really, like, I didn't know what it was to be a mother. Like, I didn't know what it took to be a mother. And I would technically say that I was a single parent. Um, but just the way that I've taught him, like, I would say from his early years on, I would say from ages 0 to 3 or 4, it was kind of like a I don't know if it's authoritarian, I think it is. Which one was the one who kind of like sets the rules and the expectations, um and it's basically uh like he had to, like, it was my way or the highway, basically. From ages, but I still nurtured him, which I said I always think that it's like a mixture of when you have these certain parenting styles. Now, the way that I grew up, which kind of drove me to be a little less on the side of nurturing. I had to evolve, and as I learned my son and learned myself, I started to be more nurturing, which I evolved into other parenting styles, which is now at his age, as he's growing now. I would say I'm kind of permissive too, because me and my son are kind of like, we have this, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's like at times we're kind of like brothers and sisters, like very playful, very friendship, like where we play the game and we hang out, and sometimes we don't have a bedtime. Sometimes, there's things that I do explain to him. I have rules, I have expectations, and I set boundaries and things like that. But I also let life teach him as well, which goes under the authoritative, which is open communication and natural consequences for the child. So, like, I tell my son, listen, your bedtime is at 9 o'clock. If you are not in bed at 9 o'clock, you're going to be tired in the morning. You're going to be cranky. And so I had to let him learn that on his own. Do you want to be tired and cranky in the morning? Or do you want to be well rested and, energized? So he had to learn that on his own. So sometimes I just do that. Like, I set the standard, I set the boundary, I set the rules. Like, I tell him, okay, you have to be on the phone at this time. You have to get off the phone at this time, and you have this amount of time to be on the phone. If you go over this amount of time on the phone, one of your electronics get taken. And sometimes when it goes overboard, all of your electronics get taken. And so I let him kind of And that way, I would say I'm kind of, I would say the one, I don't know if that falls under being strict. I wouldn't necessarily say that that was strict. I'm just saying that that just sets a boundary. But I basically set rules and let him choose if he wants to cross the boundary. If you cross the boundary, then those are consequences that you have to deal with not having your electronics. Um, also, it was foreign to a lot of people growing up and, not, you know, giving your child a spanking or a whooping. So, me growing up, even my mom, she didn't really beat us. She didn't really whoop us. And so I guess that's how I kind of grew into, not really whooping my son, not popping my son, because I feel like if you have open communication with your kids, whether they make the decision or not, whether they want to listen to you, they would still naturally have to deal with those consequences. So even when my son was younger and I had to tell him, hey, don't do that, and I popped him, and he would be upset and he would be like, well, why did you pop me? Then I still have to communicate with him, hey, I hit you, I popped you because this is not something that you do. But as I grew up, and understood that that's just something that we learned, you're supposed to hit pop kids so they can learn that's a no-no. So now I look at it as if I don't really want to hit him. I don't want to hit him at all. So when I go into it, I'm like, okay, so what's the reason why you're about to hit him? You're frustrated because he doesn't want to listen. He doesn't want to attend or be attentive and listen to your rules. But you have to understand. I had to explain that to myself. You have to understand, consequences come natural. When he does what he does, and he go against your boundaries and rules, there are things that you can put in place that let him know, hey, this is my boundary. You cannot cross it. I'm doing, and I explained to my son. I not only explained to him that you're crossing a boundary, but I explained to him that you're crossing a boundary and you're damaging your health. You've been on the phone too long. That's damaging your eyesight. And then on top of that, the radiation coming from the phone and all of the electronic devices that you tend to be on for long periods of time, it does decrease your vision, and it makes your vision poor. And then on top of that, even when you put the earbuds in your ear, there's notifications that comes to your phone that say, hey, your device that you're listening with is too loud. And I have to go in and explain to him, listen, even your mother know I love music. Like, I love music. So I come to him from a standpoint of, I understand, like, this is what you want to do, this is how you want to use your free time, but you can damage your ears like this. I, for one, am definitely one of those people that likes to blast my music, not blast it too loud. When I have my headphones, like, it's like I just want it to be like no noise in the background, just my music. And sometimes my phone will send me a notification and say volume is too loud for ear capacity, and they'll let me know, like, hey, like, this is going to hurt your ears. And then on top of that, I've witnessed in real time, my son is like, can you hear, like, what's going on? I said, it's probably because I've been listening to that music, and it's been loud. It's been, you know doing something with my ears. Even I have to tell my son, like, I have went through things where my eye vision has decreased, my ear hearing has decreased because of certain things that you go through, when you're doing certain things. So I just specifically let him know, like, I have these rules so you won't have to go through the things that I go through. And then when I say a mixture of all parenting styles. I say that when I'm evolving, because at some point I had to understand that it was areas in my child's life where I was neglecting him, especially because I was not when I wasn't nurturing and loving as much as I could be. I had to understand, oh, my son's love language is hugs and kisses, touchy feely. And I wasn't a person of hugs and kisses, touchy feely. So I had to learn to open up more to him and remind myself, your son is a hugger. Your son is a kisser. Like, he loves to touch. He loves to touch my face. He touches my neck. Like, and it's like, I don't want, like, I'm like the type of person, like, when I'm not, like, in a mood, like, because it's like I had a rough day, things are going on, it's a lot going on, a lot in my mind. I have to gather my senses and say, hey, your child needs you in this way. And so some people don't understand. In every way, you can have four parenting styles depending on how you see things. Because how I see things is that I was neglectful in certain ways. I also was permissive in certain ways, authoritarian and authoritative in certain ways in which I parent. But it's not just a straight out, you do one, you do two. It's like at any moment you can change into any of these parenting styles when you're parenting your kids. And so I had to realize that, and I had to choose, okay, in what way do you want to show up? What kind of parent do you want to show up for your child? Do you want to be the parent that sets strict rules right now and just have them on lockdown for a while? Do you want to be the parent that is opening and listening and to understanding what is going on mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually with your child? And that's the type of relationship that I want to have with my child, so that he could be more emotionally intelligent. My son, I have made room and space for him to show up in his most authentic self. He's very like, his teachers tell me about it. Malik is like like, he's very like real well rounded. Sometimes he play too much. But he's very confident and he speaks and he is open, and that's what I want from my child. I want him to not be afraid of being himself. And also, this goes into reparenting myself as well. I have to be careful of which parenting style that I wanted to use when I reparent myself, because sometimes excuse me, when we're having this critic talk to us about what we are, how we are supposed to be, or what we are supposed to do when we're reparenting ourselves, we have to be careful of what we say to ourselves and what type of methods and systems we're using when we're reparenting ourselves. And so I try my best to talk to myself with love and kindness and not neglect myself, but be aware of the specific what should I say? The specific methods and tools that I use to help reparent myself while I parent my child. And so I would say, what is it? I think it's authoritative is the one, mixed with a little permissive, because I would say I'm always not trying to be my own, not my own, but my son's friend. I'm not trying to be his friend, but it's it's very common of me and very frequent that I go and I say, okay, let's play a game, let's do this, let's do that, and just trying to incorporate ways in which he want to bond with me so that he can feel free to express himself in any way. Sometimes I gotta put boundaries on him because it gets a little he likes to play, a lot. He likes to play fight, and I'm like, look, mommy don't want to play fight, sir. You want to do that with with somebody else. I play fight a little, but my son is very rough, and I'm in my soft era where I'm not doing too much of that. But anyway, I also try to teach my son how to be soft with me as well because he has a lot of learning to do. He has a lot of learning to do. But some tools that I would tell you to use, that I have used during parenting is a lot of reflecting with journaling and meditation and just sitting with self. I sit with myself, um, just to reflect on certain things that I'm doing or certain things that I could be doing as far as incorporating different methods to see how can I show him that I care more, like how can I be more loving, how can I assist him to be his best self, how can I incorporate methods of him letting him know that this is how you show me respect, this is where my boundaries lie, just to make things flow in our relationship and make our relationship more stronger. Also, just reparenting myself as well, using those tools of meditating on it, sitting with myself, journaling, and I'm pretty sure it's way more tools to, like, you know, that you might come across with helping. I would say some exercises that I do with my son is I sit down and we just like go over our day or just talk about things, like just having moments where we're just like, let's do this, let's do that. And I'll make up some games sometimes. Like one game that I made up, and it's probably already a game, but I made up this game where I would write down words on a piece of paper, like rip the word, each word I rip after I write, and ball it up, put it in a cup, and I shake the cup. And I give it to him, and he pick one out, and he has to draw it. And I guess I would say that's like Pictionary. Is that like Pictionary? I think so. But he would draw it, and as he draw, I have to figure out what it is that he's drawing, on the paper, and then vice versa, me, then him, then me, then him. And so lately we've been playing Roblox, but it's been some crazy stuff going on in Roblox. I'm like, look, but anyway, that is some of the tools, the exercises, and the things that I use to bond with my son and to help me on my parenting evolution journey. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say parenting evolution, but that is basically like the evolution of my parentinghood, going from certain parenting styles to developing more nurturing and loving parenting styles. If you guys want to find me, I am on TikTok at Moona's World _ MOONASWORLD _ If you want to find me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram, Higher Vibe Bay, HIGHERVIBEBAE, Higher Vibe Bay on Instagram. And it's another one, Higher Vibe Podcast, is on Instagram as well as Apple and Spotify platforms. We're also on YouTube on Higher Vibes Podcast platform. So if you want to contact me or follow me or DM me some questions of which, I don't know, whatever y'all want to talk about, because I'm excited to share some of these subjects and these topics that I came up with on season 2. And this is a close for episode 2, season 2, Evolution of Parenthood. I'm your host, Markesha. Thank you for listening to High Vibes Podcast. I love y'all. Peace, love, light, and healing. Stay up, family. Stay on y'all missions. Peace.